Hello, ladies, and welcome into today's video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about why we can feel so frustrated and start to blame ourselves when we enter a new level and we are experiencing the same wounding coming up to be healed. We are experiencing this pattern of facing our perfectionism. We're facing some kind of thing in this new level, even though we have healed it on a past level. So let's say you go from the beginning of your inner work journey to where you are now, and you have healed certain parts. For me, the one that I will be talking about in this video is perfectionism, is this feeling of I can't make a mistake. I have to always be perfect. And I've faced this on every new level that I've gone into and stepped into. And I keep thinking, when is this going to go away? And I find myself getting frustrated at myself for not knowing better. And I've written a post about this on my YouTube channel about how in every new level, the things that I've faced all the way from the beginning, this fear of making a mistake, that I cannot allow others to see me making mistakes, even though I'm sharing here on YouTube and I'm putting myself out there in the world. And I'm sharing everything that I have done wrong, everything that has gone wrong in my life. And that can feel scary. That can feel scary because I would rather hide, because I would rather just go sit in a corner and watch other people and not put myself out there. But I know that there is so much more of a desire in my heart to put myself out there to help women, women like you, to be able to face their own fears, to be able to allow themselves to be seen, to be able to allow themselves to be loved on newer and newer levels. And we cannot allow ourselves to feel those things and embrace those things if we are closing our heart off from fear. If we are closing our hearts off because we are scared. We are scared of getting hurt. We're scared of putting ourselves out there. We're scared of allowing ourselves to be seen. Fear does not come from God. If you've read my posts, you know the moment that I had where I was writing in my journal about this, and a desire that has been on my heart is to get closer with God and to be able to hear his voice more. I have had a lot of religious trauma. I grew up in a very strictly religious family, and I did not resonate with that version of God. I did not resonate with this version of God where you do this thing or you're going to hell or you're going to be condemned or you're going to be judged. I did not something never felt right in that version of God. And so for a while, I resented that version. I strayed away from it. And I believed that there was no God for a small period of time. And then I moved into another phase where I started to believe, oh no, there is a God. It's just not the one that I was taught. And then as I grew older and older, I started to see all the truths in the different religions and how we humans can sometimes take certain teachings and certain truths, and because we have a distorted and limited view, we can interpret these things in not the best way. We can interpret these things in a way that is coming from a place of judgment and from a place of fear. And oftentimes that comes from trauma, oftentimes that comes from the experiences that we've had, and our limited perspective leads us to see God in a certain way or to believe certain things about God, or maybe some people have written certain things about God that I personally do not believe in. I do not believe that God is this person in the sky that is just sitting there and is judging us, and that he puts fear in our heart. God didn't create us to live from a place of fear. And even as I share about this now, I feel a little nervous sharing it, and I'm just going to be very transparent because this is not something that I have talked about in my YouTube channel before. But this is what I am living through now, and I want to share what I'm living through. I want to share the mistakes. I want to share what is coming up for me. Honestly, oftentimes when we do not understand something, when we are placed in uncertainty, the first place that we go to as humans, because that is how our body has been wired, we go to a place of fear. And so we interpret things around us from a place of fear. And what I've come to realize from everything that I have studied about the body, about the nervous system, about our mind, about just seeing the connection between the physical world and the spiritual world and combining those two, it is so important to create that safety in the body so that our body is not so scared of uncertainty, so that our body is able to embrace more of love when we open up our hearts, so that we are able to allow more of God to come through, so that we are able to hold more passion, so that we are able to live in our purpose and put ourselves out there and allow ourselves to be seen, whether that is online or with people around us or with our partners, like whatever it is. When we have so much fear in our hearts and our body is living from the state of just the human self, just the human body, and we're in a constant state of survival, which is a constant state of fear, there is no room for God in that equation. And I think that's so interesting because I've experienced so much trauma in my childhood. And I found that all of those things that I went through closed off my heart. And because my heart was so closed off, I was living in a constant state of fear. I wanted to protect myself. And there is so much wisdom in that because that part of me has brought me to this point. So I'm not even making that part of me wrong. But I'm at a point where I want to go past that. I'm going to newer and newer levels of opening up my heart little bit by little bit, but also bringing my body along the way because our hearts cannot open up and our bodies cannot release the tension from it and live in this faith-filled state where we're able to attract things to us, where we are living in our purpose, where we are actually feeling loved and allowing ourselves to be seen on newer levels. And we're allowing our partners to see all parts of us, not just the bubbly and nice parts, but also our shadows. When we live in fear, we feel like we have to put up this wall and protect ourselves and pretend to be perfect. And we start to have all kinds of anxieties. We start to have all kinds of worries. And when we are living in a constant state of fear, what then happens to the body? Your body is constantly being pumped with cortisol. Your body is constantly living in this state of fear, in this hypervigilance, and you cannot allow anyone in. You isolate yourself, and then you start to wonder, well, I feel lonely. Like, I don't feel like I'm actually connected to anyone. I feel like nothing I do in life has any meaning. And I'm saying this from my own experience because that is how I used to feel. I used to feel so lost and confused. And I used to feel so lost and confused because I was living in a constant state of fear and survival. And I couldn't allow anything else into my heart because I was so afraid of losing it. I was so afraid of getting hurt. I was so afraid of getting abandoned. And I was so afraid of being rejected. And I'm sure this will continue to come up on newer and newer levels. Have you heard the saying of newer levels, same old devil? That's literally what inner work is like. You are reaching newer and newer levels of allowing more love in, of allowing yourself to be more imperfect rather than protecting yourself, of allowing yourself to be seen deeply for who you are, even if it feels scary or it feels like, oh, I don't know, are people gonna cancel me for saying this? Am I gonna get hurt for opening up my heart? Like, what will happen? I don't know. The more you continue to do your inner work, we keep believing that, okay, we've done our inner work and now it's over and I'm not going to experience the same things again. But it's actually just the same things that continue to come up on every single level you expand into. And it's those same exact codes, those same exact things that keep coming up for you that are your work in this lifetime. They are showing up for a reason. They are showing up to be expanded on continuously. Like if you think about evolution, it is a constant evolvement, and the evolvement and change doesn't end just on that first level. That is not how we continue to move to the next level. It may look different, but the same thing is happening throughout. The same thing is happening when I show up and I am speaking here on social media and I'm allowing myself to be seen. I first, before even this level of putting myself out there and creating these videos and allowing myself to speak my truth on newer and newer levels, I struggled with this offline. I struggled with this with my partner. I struggled with this with people around me, still expanding on that every single day and allowing myself to be seen on newer and newer levels. And it is a constant refinement of continuing to show up and actually align what is inside of me to what I express outwardly. Because what is the definition of authenticity is that you are actually able to express what's inside of you externally rather than repressing it and pretending to be something different. And for that to happen, we need to create so much safety in our body to be able to express ourselves, to be able to show up in this way where we're not afraid to say what we want to say, to be able to actually allow ourselves to be seen when we are vulnerable, because that's not so easy, because other people can hurt us or say something that we may not like when we put ourselves out there. And there is even newer levels of allowing myself to be criticized, allowing myself knowing that the criticism doesn't have to mean anything about me. If someone criticizes me, just like I was criticized in my childhood, am I just going to run in a corner and hide for the rest of my life? That is not the type of life that I want to live. True power actually comes from facing those fears and continuing to show up anyways. It's not coming from, oh, people are going to stop triggering me and that's when I'll finally feel happy and that's when everything will finally align. No, true power comes from knowing that I can actually handle anything that comes my way, that people can criticize me and I will still freaking keep showing up, that people can have all kinds of opinions and I'm still gonna be here, that I can make mistakes and I will choose to take responsibility and take accountability and still show up anyways, that I can be triggered even with all the inner work I have done, and I'm still going to show up and try to learn a new lesson in a new level. Because if you think about playing a video game, as you go in newer levels in a video game, if you're facing the same opponent that you faced in level one, do you think that would be exciting? Would you even keep playing that game? No, most of us would get so bored of playing that same like opponent from the first level. We'd be like, I need a challenge. I need something new to face. I need something bigger. And so often we run away from this, but honestly, I've learned so much more from my mistakes. I have learned so much more from the moments when I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. Oh my gosh, my partner is really testing my patience right now. When you build safety within your body, that is when you start building emotional capacity and emotional intelligence. But when we're just out there and we're triggered by every single thing and then we blame other people, or we've become so self-aware and we're like, okay, like I'm aware of everything that I'm doing wrong, and we get so stuck in our heads and we're like, okay, do this, don't do this. And we become so stuck in our heads that we actually cannot take action. We actually feel so stuck in our heads that our heart is even more closed off because we have left our bodies. And when you leave your body, there is no safety because you're sending the signal of, oh, I'm abandoning my body. It's not safe to be here. Let's go up in the head. Let's try to figure this out and try to think about it consciously. And I'm aware of what's going wrong. I'm aware of why I'm triggered and all the reasons from my past childhood, but I can't let myself feel the pain with that. I can't let myself feel the fear. I can't let myself metabolize whatever is coming up because it's too scary. But that is only going to keep you in your head even more. When you are finally ready to face all of these things in your body, when you're finally ready to face all the fear, all the sadness, all the anger, all the resentment, and you're finally able to face these things in your body, that is when you start making change in your life. Because we can't think our way of trying to get to somewhere just from the head. We need our hearts and our bodies to come along. But when we are in a constant state of fear and our bodies are closed off and we are not able to hear God guiding us. This is why so many people struggle with their intuition and being able to know what direction to move in. And that was me. I felt so lost and confused. And because my heart was so closed off, I couldn't even allow myself to hear what God had to say to me. I couldn't allow myself to move based on faith alone. I had to have a 5-year plan. I had to know every single step. And I really struggled with uncertainty. But when I finally started to not make any part of that wrong, not make myself wrong for desiring this, for desiring to be on YouTube and to help women like you and to share my experience here and to want more love in my life and to want to be able to feel more love in my heart and to want to open up when I stop making myself wrong for every single thing and stop making myself wrong for making mistakes. And I started embracing living more in my purpose. Even though I don't have the full picture, even though I have no idea what God is actually guiding me towards, I have a little bit, just one puzzle piece. And then I have no idea what comes after that. I have no idea what comes after that. I feel like when you look back, you're like, oh, that's what's happening. Okay, this is bringing me to this and this and this. But I honestly still have no idea where it's taking me. I have no idea. And yet I still continue to show up. And yet I still show up for myself and continue to have faith in whatever God is guiding me towards. And I wouldn't have been able to do that until I actually started creating safety in my body. Because without that safety, I was living in a constant state of fear. I was living in a constant state of judging myself. And that is even how I viewed God. I viewed God as this judgmental and fear-mongering person because that is what I was taught, and I was continuing to live that even within myself. I was constantly judging and criticizing myself, and that created more fear in my body. And that led to me feeling so lost and confused. And the more I created safety in my body, the more I continue to expand on my beliefs, the more I continue to live from my heart and to continue to break down limiting beliefs that I have about the world, about what I get to have, about the amount of money that I get to make, about the kind of love I get to have. All of these things, it takes mind and body work to be able to allow God to actually come through you and to allow literally the abundance of God to show up in your life. Because God is not limited. Look around, like look at everything that God has created. God is in nature. God is in everything that He has created, and yet we see Him as this limited being. And we ask for pennies. And we're not allowing ourselves to actually feel how much love we were meant to feel and allowing ourselves to receive everything that God wants us to receive. He created all of this for us. And when we're living in so many distortions and we're living from a place of fear and worry, we cannot allow ourselves to receive those things. When we're in survival, we're just worried about surviving the next day. We're not sitting there actually enjoying our life. We're not sitting there allowing ourselves to feel more love. No, we're sitting there in a corner and we're trying to hide and we're trying to close our hearts off, not consciously, but that is what we do because we're so scared, because we don't feel safe. And the more I create safety in my body to be able to express myself, to feel love, to allow myself to be seen, I also notice that I allow myself to be more playful. I allow myself to make more jokes. I feel like this is, I don't know, I don't even know if I want to share this, but I'm gonna share it anyways. I've always wanted to be funny, like, or be considered funny. And I felt like I was always so serious because I was just so closed off and I took everything so seriously. even though there was a part of me inside that wanted to show up with joy, that wanted to laugh, that wanted to make other people laugh, and I didn't feel that part come out until I actually created safety in my body. I didn't feel like she could express herself in that way because it was like, oh, well, what if I make a joke and nobody laughs? Now I just don't even care. I'm just like, you know what? Shoot your shot. Like, what? And then it's so funny because the more relaxed I am, like, the more I feel that safety in my body, the more I feel free to show up as more of who I am, to show up more in that joy, to be able to just be funny. Because when we're restricted and we're tense and we're trying to protect ourselves and close off our heart, can you imagine, like, how can I be funny or playful from that state? Playfulness takes flow, playfulness takes openness, playfulness takes like if you imagine a child, how playful they are. They're so open to life. They haven't been conditioned into certain ways. They're just out there living their life and they're playing and they don't care what anyone else thinks of them. And they're just allowing themselves to exist and be funny and be playful. And that is what I'm creating for myself and my body now. And why I've started to become more playful. Why I've started to notice, like, I don't even have to think about it. I feel like I've just become funnier just by creating safety in my body. Maybe I'm just tooting my own horn and maybe I just laugh at my own jokes most of the time, but I love that for me. I love that I've embraced this part of myself. I love that I'm not so stuck in my head and I'm actually able to be in my body to just make stupid jokes that only I laugh at. There is so much power in creating that safety in your body because I don't believe that we were meant to be here just to survive and to go from one day to the next and to live from one paycheck to the next paycheck. I believe that we are here for more. And if you are ready for that next step, if you are ready to embrace that more of your life, maybe you have everything you need in life, but you're feeling like, I am ready to actually feel those things in my body. I'm ready to actually feel the abundance that is in my life. If you feel like you have closed yourself off from the world and you feel disconnected, this is the inner work that I guide you through in Safe to Be Loved. Because when we bypass our human body and we try to manifest things and we try to say all these affirmations and bring things to us, we're at the end of the day human. At the end of the day, we will manifest whatever our body feels safe enough in. And even if we manifest it and we don't feel safe in it, we will sabotage it. So I will leave the link to that course down below. And if you have any insights that you got throughout the video, or you have any comments or questions, please share them down below. That is everything that I have for you today. And I will see you in the next video or inside Safe to Be Loved. Love you. Bye.